Alright, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for Gene, a Sojourn / Genji player in a Master2-Champion5 lobby range. I'm going to assume that you're on the lower end of that range just because you mentioned that you got probably put into the highest lobby at the time, which depending on whatever you played, right, it's definitely a possibility, right? Yeah, so you'll have to bear with me. This is like my third time trying to record this, right? My computer has crashed on me. If anyone's interested as to why I don't really play this game competitively anymore, my internet has been terrible for a while, and yeah, apparently my computer is having some issues now as well. So more consistent issues, I will say. Yeah. Anyways, I did watch the entire replay, and I will say that right now, what you need, the two most important things you need to work on are that your cover usage / awareness of the angles of the enemy team needs some work, right? You're constantly finding yourself in the open and not like respecting the angles the enemy team takes on you, and this gets you like killed or like forced away from like these positions way more often than it should be happening, right? Yeah, so I'll show you like the play-by-play exactly what I mean. That's kind of the gist of it, right? Secondly, you need to work on your spacing from the enemy team more, be more respectful of what the enemy player or characters can do to you, right? At these ranks, everyone's gonna be pretty good. And you get punished from just letting people like get within their effective range against you way too often, right? Tanks are like the prime example of this, right? Tanks usually have like really not so great range. They only are like going to reliably kill you within like, it obviously depends on the tank, but most brawl tanks are not going to be able to reliably kill you outside of like 10 meters, right? So just as like and obviously that's relevant here because you guys are running like Orisa and Ramatra, and I think the enemy tank is on Orisa this entire game, right? So if you get closer than that closer than that to the Orisa, just expect to like either force out all your team's cooldowns to keep you alive, or like die as a result, right? Obviously that's the most obvious example on their team, right? But like you have to consider that the Lucio is also kind of like a close range character. He's like not going to consistently. Obviously, this is all relevant for Sojourn. It's relevant for all characters, but I'm kind of like considering mostly right now the Sojourn matchup. Right, you don't want to get the Lucio too close. Because his projectiles aren't super fast, and if he gets close, he's kind of like a nightmare to deal with, right? Because he's moving all over the place, he's booping you all over the place to make your aim like messed up and like make his subsequent follow-up shots like really easy to hit, right? So you want to keep him like at a distance, farm rail, and just like shoot him to stop him from ever engaging on you, right? As Genji, it's kind of the opposite, right? As Genji, you want to find some sort of like close range off angle, right? Ideally, where you can threaten people with like all your cooldowns, right? Or I should say, really just your like dash one shot combo, consistently, right? And use like the environment to like make yourself hard to hit and such like that, right? You don't want to like obviously like I know you're at least Masters 2, right? I'm sure you know this, but you just don't want to like I'm saying this kind of for anyone else that's watching. You don't want to just randomly dash into the open, right? And not even be able to like do damage with the connection of your dash, right? That's kind of like a major throw, right? But my point is that you kind of play Genji almost like you're playing Sojourn still, and you're like playing into like kind of a more poke matchup on the second map on this second stage on this map, whatever you want to call it, and playing really far away where you're just going to get outpoked by the enemy team's damage, right? So yeah, just something to consider. Actually, I'll add like a third, like kind of half thing. I think your cooldown usage needs some work, right? I'll just like do this in a play-by-play, right? There's some overarching, like you're kind of like on Sojourn in particular, you need to work on your cover usage after slide, right? It's kind of the big one I see. Actually, if you want to, you could probably watch just the first like 2 minutes of gameplay, maybe minute and a half, and get pretty much everything you need out of my advice to you. Because these like first two fights are very, very indicative of like recurring issues I see in your gameplay, right? Yeah. Anyways, walking forward, right? Here, one thing, obviously you don't know what comp they're on quite yet, so it's definitely risky to go far right. I think ideally, hindsight, what you want to do preemptively is set up right side right. Maybe this is something you could play around with, in the future on this map, right? Just preemptively go right side and just be ready to run away if they're like on ball or something, right? Or their entire team rolls out right side for some reason. Just because like you have really good map control. You see like the sight lines here are really long, which is kind of what like Sojourn wants generally, right? You can just farm the tank and you can disrupt your shot like these close angles here to make it hard for people just to rush into you. Or obviously, disrupt your shot to choke and no one's pushing you and just farm people for free and try to look for picks on the back line, right? And I bring this up now is because that's what their Sojourn ends up doing, right? I'll say that, especially because like you're on Cass, and your Cass is kind of worse at doing this than you are, right? Because if he messes up his aim, his cooldowns just aren't nearly good enough to help him escape. Whereas your like slide and disruptor shot give you a lot better of an opportunity to just run away from bad engagements, right? Also, his range is just worse than yours, so like he doesn't get as much. Even assuming like he wins this duel, he doesn't get as much from kind of like sitting over here as you would, right? But that's kind of like a hindsight thing, right? Not the end of the world at this position, right? This is kind of where the first mistakes start to show, right? If you'll notice, well, I'll ask maybe like in like, kind of like a hindsight thing. Do you see any issues with this exact position you're standing with right now? And not to spoil it. Well, I guess to spoil it, right? This Orisa can see you, right? This guy can see you, right? And right, if they had anyone else, maybe not from here actually. Never mind. But you can see their Lucio can also see you here, right? Um, if you were to start shooting you. So you're like exposing yourself to at least 2 angles, and you can only deal with one of them at a time, right? If you notice, the Sojourn on the enemy team is playing here, and she literally can only see this one angle where you guys are standing, right? Which means that no one else can damage her from any other angle, right? If the cast wants to contest her, he has to walk like all the way over here, or alternatively like here, right? Which kind of exposes him a lot because he'll be making the same mistake that you are, right? If he does that, right? My point is, like, you're able to get shot from 2 angles here, right? It just so happens that you get lucky and the Orisa does not look at you at all. And the Sojourn, I mean, she's not going to have 100% accuracy from this range, but she also doesn't hit you, right? Here, and you also make the same mistake here, right? This is all point 1. You see you're turning here to look at the people all the way down here, right? But you see again, right? You're exposing yourself to the Orisa, right? What could happen? Obviously, this fight, it doesn't. What could happen? I mean, you might be thinking like your Ramatra is going to hold off this Orisa, but what could happen if this fight played out a bit differently is if the Sojourn farmed rail off your Ramatra or whatever and just like body shots you, the Orisa notices, pops her cooldowns, like just like walks to the side, javelins you, and just like insta kills you, right? Just because you're peeking this this right lane for no reason and making yourself a really easy shot, right? And this is why, like, considering what angles you can get shot from is, like, so important, right? This is, like, really, really important on tank, especially, because you'll just never be able to push if you just stand in the open and just take spam from every single angle of the game, right? So here, your cast does a good job, kind of wins a 1v2. Here, you really should be waiting to get healed. If you're not getting healed, it's fine, just wait. Here, this is, like, a massive troll, right? This is kind of like a big problem with all those 3 things I mentioned earlier at the beginning, right? You're not considering where you could get shot from, right? You slide in here. Now you can get shot by the cast from this angle. You can get shot by the Lucio and the whatever Orisa from this angle, right? And you have no cover from it, right? There's literally nothing you can do to like dodge. I mean, granted, the cast is probably gonna die too, no matter what your Ramatra's on him. But that just goes to show you that you should not be like sliding into him in the first place, because there's nothing this cast can do to survive except like hope his Baptiste has like teleportation cheats or something, or hits like a really good lamp and just buys him like a second of life, right? Like there's like nothing you can do. Your Ramatra's on him, right? So what you should be doing alternatively, actually let me finish off with all the mistakes too, or first, right? So that's a mistake. 2, you're like getting too close, right? This Orisa, just imagine like a 10-meter sphere around her, right? This is like not where you want to be, right? Now you're like entering her space where it's going to be very easy for her to like javelin into a wall, or just get like good tracking onto you, right? Because she's a projectile hero, right? Or and just pop her cooldowns, run into you, and get the kill on you, right? Thirdly, you're using your cooldowns to traverse the open space and just land in open space afterwards, which makes it very easy for you to die, right? Good players are going to notice this every single time, right? Actually, this is something this Orisa can do. She should just ignore this Ramatra because she can't save her cast no matter what, and just turn for you and get like the trade, right? You and your Juno are both pushing at like half HP, and both of you in principle like really easy kills at this timing, right? What you should do instead is literally just stand here, more or less AFK, shoot the Orisa so she can't walk forward for free onto her Ramatra, and like force her in a position where now she has to worry about this angle and this angle once her Ramatra kills the cast. If your Ramatra dies, there's like literally nothing you can do, right? See here, when I first watched this, I knew you were going to instant die, right? Actually, this Orisa, I was going to mention, this Orisa makes a mistake of just not shooting you early enough. I guess this is the fortunate thing about being a hog player. Like, I don't have shoot the tank itis, right? If people use cooldowns in the open like this, like, I'm going to kill them, like, every single time, right? You see, she still gets the kill regardless, right? You see, like, how easy it is for her to track there, just because you're, like, close to her, right? Like, it's pretty good tracking in her end, but, like, you're just close and make it really easy for her, too, by, like, blowing your cooldowns and just, being in the open for no reason, right? You say, like, here, it's not the end of the world that you die. I kind of disagree, because now you can't help your team stagger, potentially stagger. You can't build your ult charge, and you can't take any positioning on the map, right? This would be a great time for you to set up right side, right? Because their Sojourn is dead. I think both their DPS died, right? And yeah, you're just completely uncontested on the right side of the map, right? And you'll have that positioning for when they walk back in. So here, this is kind of like a sloppy thing, right? If you don't know the status of the fight, don't slide in kind of like to the choke point, right? If you don't know what's going on, right? Like, you don't know where this Orisa is exactly. You don't know where anyone else in the team is exactly. You don't know what the status of their cooldowns are, right? And this right now doesn't necessarily like fight you. You could have just literally stood right here, right, and still got value, right? But you decide to keep pushing in to like this close area with this Orisa. You see now she's pretty much full HP, and she has all of her cooldowns, right? She could potentially try to like kill you herself, but you see, because you keep trying to walk into this Orisa for no reason, right? She baits you into this angle here where you're just overextended, and now you just have no opportunities to escape, right? This is kind of what I was talking about. The first is minute and a half, well, like minute actually, because we have the 30-second spawn time or whatever. The first minute of this is so instructive, right? You waste your cooldowns, which this fight wasn't like too bad, right? You could have just stood here, no, not the end of the world, right? But you kind of violate those first two things that I was talking about, right? Where you peek again in the open, and this time you actually get punished for it, right? Their Sojourn hits a good disruptor shot here. And now, when you're in this no man's land here, right, you can't dodge this way, because if you dodge this way, now look, the Orisa's going to shoot you for free. But if you dodge this way to, like, LOS these people, now, or sorry, yeah, if you dodge this way to avoid the Orisa, now these people can, like, free farm you, right? Yeah, so like my point is, if you go back this way to dodge the people this way, actually this is better actually. If you go back this way to dodge these people, the Orisa kills you. But if you go this way, these people, or the Orisa still kills you, and these people can still kill you, right? And this is literally just because you walk forward and open yourself up to like getting shot by multiple angles for no reason. And you also get too close to the Orisa and get punished for it, right? Again, like, this is like completely avoidable, right? Like, the slide in wasn't the end of the world, but I'm sure you can see, like, it was just completely unnecessary for you to push that Orisa when you don't know the status for cooldowns, right? That kind of throws the team fight for your team, right? Now you guys have like no damage pressure. This is fine. If their Orisa's lower, I'd honestly be looking to do something else, right? I'd be looking to see if somewhere on the map's free, you just walk right side, for example, and just start using the fact that the Orisa's kind of trolling by playing down here. Like, what's she gonna do down here, right? Like, there's literally nothing here. To just start like trying to farm their backline and make something happen, right? You need an opening to like push them out. This is okay, right? You hear the guy slide in. This is fine. Yeah. I should have paid attention to what you used your disruptor shot on. I think it was on the Baptiste. It's okay. Unfortunate. Good try. Good kill. Here, I'd say you're too close, right? You don't want to be this too close to a cast. He's kind of a close range character. Yeah, whatever. Your entire team's dead. Right? You could have done some things differently in that fight. I don't really think that one was the end of the world. Right? I'm not going to spend too much time on that fight because one, I don't want the replay to crash, and two, right? I don't really think you made the mistakes that lost your team that team fight. Right? Obviously, just the fundamental things. You can think about that yourself. Right? I say obviously, like the discussion I had about the setup is probably more valuable than like what actually transpired. I'd say good shots. Like I think you kind of like have carried so far, right? You forced out lamp. That was a good disruptor. Right? Forced out window. Literally useless window. I think they get a good read on you. I will say, alternatively, right? Be careful. Obviously, this is like a hindsight thing, but when they're on Lucio, just be careful in the future. I'll say, like an alternative is to go this way, right? So you can play the Mega here, and this is something you should probably do in the future. This is kind of like a map knowledge thing, right? Like, unfortunately, they just like beat and like speed into you, and like, there's really not a whole lot you could have done. Like, you don't have like, in that position, right? You did what you did, or you did what you could. You know, you could have waited to take this angle for your disruptor shot, so you don't have such an easy engage. But I think alternatively, what you could have done is gone this way. You see, you have a decent sightline here still. You have an easier time disengaging with slide if you like slide up here, right? And you can play around the Mega, right? You have like a longer sightline this way, right? And this is like an alternative, riskier flank route to go here, just for future reference, right? Yeah, I don't really blame that fight on you too much either, but just those are things you can like keep in mind for the future. Obviously, troll ult. Obviously, I'm kidding, right? You know, time left. Okay, I really hope my game does not crash. Thank God. Here, this is kind of what I was talking about with Genji. You're kind of sitting at this angle here, right? But you can't consistently do anything to their team from this distance, right? Like their DPS and their Baptiste has like better poke than you do, more consistent poke. So like you're just kind of like spamming shurikens across the map that have really low chance of hitting, right? I mean, it's not because your aim's bad. It's because like you're just far away, right? It's kind of like the Orisa problem where like the projectiles are just simply inconsistent, right? They're just not going to consistently land more than like 10-ish meters away from the enemy team, right? So what you need to be doing is finding an angle where you can get close, right? But you're still in a distance to like, for example, use your dash to get away, you know, deflect this buy for time or something like that, and still close enough where you can easily come back to your team for healing, right? And an angle like this, where your cast is doing, is probably that angle, right? I'm not a Genji player. Like, I really have, like, almost no time on the character. So you're going to have to, like, I don't really play with Genjis a lot, right? My tank choices don't really, like, align with Genji super well. But I do play against them, right? Obviously. It's just not like I'm completely in the dark, but I just can't tell you every exact position you should take on Genji. That's my point, right? Especially on this map, I don't really feel like it's great for Genji because it has like a lot of really long sightlines, right? Which can make it kind of difficult to use your dash to consistently like close the distance for kills and stuff like that, right? Not to say it's obviously a troll pick, but just something to keep in mind, right? It's definitely better than sitting with your tank and like trying to outspam their team, right? This is not what you want to be doing with this character. Like this is something you'd be doing on like maybe not at this exact position, but this is something you want to be doing like on Cass or Ashe or Sojourn, right? Or Widow, right? Obviously, like you won't literally be bolted down right here, but you'll be generally playing like these long angles here where you can actually impact the fight. Like on Genji, it's just not going to happen, right? And again, it's not because your aim's bad, it's just the character just has limitations you have to play around, right? Let's say small thing on Genji, you have a habit of consistently like playing stacked exactly with your tank, right? And you end up eating a lot of spam for it, right? I feel like you're pretty good at like spacing yourself decently on Sojourn, but on Genji, I feel like you just completely like you just throw that out the window and you like really struggle to consistently like avoid spam damage just because you're sitting with your tank so much. Here, I'll say again, you definitely had like I think going here early on in the fight would have been better, right? Alternatively, you could even like potentially come down here, play the mini, right? You see, you like all you can really do is farm the tank. You know, obviously from this position you can shoot the Soj, but you're still just a dash away from getting out. I mean, you still have an angle. These people are right. You don't have to walk all the way over here, for example, right? It's like an option. I think this is probably the best option you have available. Alternatively, what you can do is just preemptively roll out down here, right, and just try to play this angle here to deny the people from taking this angle, right? It's pretty close for you, right? You know, if they try to contest this high ground here, right, you can deny that, right? It might be kind of difficult for you to just immediately walk through here, but if, you know, you have the faster movement speed by default, right? So you probably get here a little sooner than the Soj. It's probably about close, I know, especially if they have the Genji or whatever. But something to keep in mind, right? You also have like good-ish cover here, right? You can close the distance from like using cover well this way, right? This is definitely another alternative, right? If you're gonna play these characters, right, this is stuff you have to like experiment with, right? Just in the future. Again, since you see you're so far away, you're just losing opportunities to get picks on people with your dash, right? Once it seems really dumb, but once this guy rolls away into low ground, right? Your window of opportunity to kill him is gone because now he's getting healed. He's in the LOS of his BAP, and you haven't seen the BAP use his lamp, right? So if you commit in, and you haven't seen this guy use his nade either, right? See, he uses it now. I don't even think he hits you, right? Anyways, right? You're committing with full cooldowns, like after the moment of like commitment has passed, right? Where you just like surprise one shot them because you're too far away, right? You're just kind of playing too passive in the fight and not playing your strengths as a character, right? So you end up dying, right? You just commit in when they have no cooldowns. It seems like a real. Let me play that back just to show you exactly what I mean. Right? You see, he gets headshot there. That is your moment to just immediately like dash in from this angle and get the pick, right? Obviously you weren't set up. You're just playing at an angle that's not conducive to you, right? You're playing like I said earlier, like you're almost playing like you're a sniper, right? Like you can see your Zen is barely further back than you. Zen and Anna both, and like they both have pretty much effectively like maybe not Zen, but like you know what I mean, right? They have like multitude times what your range effectively is, right? Obviously nothing you can do to survive there. Probably should skip for it. It's alright though. I just really don't want my game to crash. You have to bear with me. Guess you're considering swapping. I don't think it's necessary, right? I don't feel like Genji's like too horrible into their composition, right? Yeah. Here, when you see they disruptor, right? You've done this once before, right? I guess you kind of know a way to get around it. I thought you could go a little further to the right and gotten out of it. Never mind. It's okay. Right here, you see they're all low ground. That should be the opportunity, the signal for you to like go somewhere else, right? Like you cannot obviously cross this pathway here. Maybe you can now, right? You see they're low and backing up, and you can like start snaking around back here, for example, right? Play cover to cover here, get an angle over here. But this should be like the opportunity you need to move somewhere, right? I was originally gonna say go top left, right, and play like this angle here-ish. You know, maybe rotate here, play this angle, right? You have dash to get away. Play this angle here, right? You have options, or you know, like I said earlier, just go down right side, right? But now this is not an opportunity for you to just be spamming across the map, right? Again, because you're being so like passive here, you're just losing opportunities. Okay, good. Good, right, this is good stuff here. Good cleanup from you, right? You notice the one guy's weak. I like you don't like overcommit for that Genji or Lucio. So you see you don't get the dash on him. I would say like if you're having a hard time like aiming, I suppose, you don't need to keep jumping, right? You can literally just pretty much stand still. Obviously, I don't know how like familiar you are with Genji and his like exact movement, but like it'll take some like practice to get used to it, right? But if you like can't consistently hit people, it's more valuable to hit the consistent like shurikens at range to get that consistent poke, because you can get healed, right? Like they're not running a widow or anything that's just gonna one shot you. So It's okay to stand still sometimes. This is fine. I don't hate this positioning. I really wish your Genji had his orb on you. Honestly, if you see they're all 4 right side, one play you can consider doing once you see the Sojourn here is potentially committing on her. Once you see the Disruptor, I think it's okay. Okay, this is a positioning thing, right? You see 2 of them are here now. You need to like be more wary with this angle, right? Again, you see you're making the mistake I said earlier, where you're peeking this angle for no reason, even though you know 2 people are here, right? Like this, I'm sure like in replay now, you can see how dumb this looks. You saw the Lucio here, and you saw obviously the Sojourn was shooting from here. So you peek this angle and spam here, but like even if you have 100% accuracy, you're opening yourself up just to get rushed down like by 2 people on this side, right? Now obviously you're not. Now you're just in the middle of 4 people more or less, just because you're greedy trying to get spam, right? What you should be doing this positioning is literally just backing up to like here, right? I mean, you still can fight for this side. You're 100% safe, right? Because if you need to, you just dash out this way or something like that, right? And now you can't get shot by like the Baptiste or the Orisa if you literally just AFK here. Obviously, you don't want to AFK literally because you'll get killed in this because they're that close, right? But you have a lot of cover here to play around with, so they can't. Or so you. I'm sorry. So you don't immediately give up this positioning to the people that are rushing you right now, right? So you just do that, and you just like get insta killed for it, right? You just have to be more cognizant that you are too close at that position, right? They just kind of take like an effective 3v1 on you just because you're not responding to like people rotating, right? If people move into you, don't be afraid to give up space, right? If you die, like this sounds really dumb, and I'm sure you know conceptually, right? But if you die, you give up every space, like everything possible you can do for like 20 seconds, right? It's better to give up like that 5 meters on the right side of the map and still make it hard for them to walk, and then just rotate back to your team with 0 cooldowns, than it is to just die for no reason. Because at the very least, you can still farm your ult, right? You still don't give up that angle for free. You're gonna force out cooldowns from them, right? So, right. Just stuff like that to keep in mind, right? I was gonna say you don't know the situation on Lamp, but I feel like since you saw he's purple and low, like I feel like it's really fairly risk-free. Honestly, that would be a position I'd be okay with dying in. Usually, like I've been saying, just like don't die, like this entire replay. But like once you get like double dash or supports, even if like they just manage to like just one shot you, I feel like you'll just do so much damage to your team's like guaranteed to win the fight, and valuable cleanup. All right, good cleanup regardless. Right. Here, walk forward. Start spamming, right? You just killed 3 players on their team. No reason to be so passive, right? Don't let them walk forward for free. See, it's important, especially because like your entire team is cycled through their ults, and you haven't even gotten a single one, right? Like I think you're gonna nano blade because your Ana gets 2 ults in the time you farm one, right? I mean, granted, nano farms really fast. Part of it's because you're like dying for no reason, and part of it's because like you're just not using opportunities to farm blade when you have the opportunity to do so, right? Like it's just a Soj and an Orisa right now. Like I'm sorry, if you die now, you either go AFK or your team's trolling. Like that's kind of like the only, if that happens, like unfortunately you lose no matter what, right? So obviously too late now, right? And farming ult also makes it more difficult for the enemy team to walk forward because they have to worry about your spam and like get healed as they're walking forward, right? Whereas now you just give them all this position on the map for free, right? And you could be considering, right, like, oh, I don't want to give them ult charge, but you need the ult charge yourself, right? And it's more valuable on defense to slow down their push, right? Buy more time off the clock, and just give them the ults so they're forced to use like all their ults at the same time because your team's gonna also be building ult at the same time, right? And 2, it's just more important, like I said earlier, to slow their push down so they can't take map positioning for free. And you could be considering, oh, but they have a Lucio, you don't want to get sped on. That just means you just have to back up earlier, right? Same thing with Widow, right? Like if they have a Widow, you can be much more wary about like hard peeking, right? Too early and looking for too much spam because against Widow in particular, right? Yeah, it's fine not to like, especially without deflect. Don't bother risking it. Here, if you see the Orisa going in, she's not your responsibility, right? Like try to do some pot shots on her. Your responsibility is denying this Surge right side, right? Again, you see the Genji commit on you, and you see you're not paying attention to Soj, right? This should be your cue to get out a little sooner, right? You should have kind of anticipated that was going to happen. Okay, that's fine, right? You see, that is monumentally better. What you did there is so much better than just not. At least my point is you reacted this time, and it's so much better than dying, because you see, you force out the Genji's cooldowns, right? I think you force out like Disruptor, and you force the entire. You see, like 3 people to rotate here, which means top right's free, right? Or sorry, top left is free right now. And it just so happens that no one's on your team's taking advantage of that, right? When you force people onto you, you're still getting value because you're taking them away from somewhere else on the map, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not like the best trade in the world, but you can see just because you did, okay, good. Just because you did that, like you didn't instantly lose the fight, right? Again, here, this is not where you want to be. You don't want to be stacking with your tank. The only exception is if you want to deflect to save your tank, that's acceptable. Yeah, that's about it, right? You just don't want to eat spam. Okay, nice. Here, even though the Orisa was low, I probably would have ignored her and try to look for the Genji going, or the guys going in on your backline, right? It was fast there, but you saw the Lucio going this way, right? If you just occupy the Lucio, he can't kill anyone, right? Maybe he boops you, but if you just dash at him and slash him, he'll die, right? I know the tank looks killable, but like, oops, that's your tank. That's kind of funny. I know the tank looks killable, right? But you don't know the status of the lamp, right? Yeah, it's fine. Help your Zen. Unfortunately, I think you missed with your dash. Kind of a mechanical error. Here with deflect, this is something important. I don't know if you play Reaper, but sometimes you want to use your deflect earlier so you don't eat a ton of spam and make yourself killable after the fact, right? Your cover usage could have been better there, as well as your movement, but you see you eat all this damage. Allow the Lucio to commit on you, and now you're just one shot, right? My point, I think I mentioned this. I'm all over the place, you'll have to excuse me. It's kind of like Reaper, where sometimes you will almost want to use your Wraith preemptively to dodge big bursts of damage, so you have the opportunity to like actually live once your Wraiths are over with, right? If you get too weak before you Wraith and the opponents notice that, especially when they're on speed, they're just going to chase you down before you get healed, right? And just like sometimes you'll just die even in the middle of your team, especially you don't have a tank right now, right? You're still down players, so you just kind of can't be doing that, right? Obviously, cover usage could have been better, could have been completely avoided in that position, right? But you still had an opportunity to save yourself if you just deflected and like walk back here right now, because now you're unpunishable by the Lucio, right? You can still spam the Orisa or whatever. You still have options. Unfortunately, you missed the dash on the Lucio, which really sucks, and missed the kill on him. It kind of ruins your like dash reset. That mechanical error kind of like put you in like not the greatest spot, but you still could have lived there, right? You see in these poke situations, like you're just eating so much random spam just because you're standing under it, right? You could be asking what you should do in here. You could, it's a lengthy rotation. You could come here, right? If they start looking at you, just run away, right? Riskier, but you could come here, right? This is still relatively safe. Shoot the Genji, right? You could also rotate over here, right? Go top, riskier, or even the least risky option, literally just wait till you get healed and walk over here, right? Set up a different angle from your Orisa, and start pressuring the people away, right? But just stack. My point is stacking exactly with the Orisa. Is you're just eating so much random spam, and just like making it impossible for your team to walk forward. Okay, let me let me watch that back again. I know they use 2 ults. Okay, so like kind of the thing I was talking about earlier. Don't get too close. You see, you're like in a dangerous position. and because you walk forward on this Orisa, like for no reason, right? If your tank trolls and goes in, unfortunately there's nothing you can do, right? You can shoot the Orisa all you want, but if she has her cooldowns, and your tank's effectively taking a 1v5, right? Because if she walks in here, like no one on your team can shoot her. Like there's really nothing you can do. Because if you push forward now, it's kind of like the mistake I made very early on in this VOD review. I hope you remember. When you peek like this, you see you open yourself up to get shot by literally the entire backline. And what happens is your tank gets isolated because she goes in too early without like looking for an opening. And her entire backline gets farmed by the enemy team's backline, right? Because in order to help your tank by shooting their tank, you have to do this. Meanwhile, the enemy team literally can just AFK here and wait for people just to run in for them to shoot, right? Just because they have the advantage of being the defenders, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, they just played, wipe your entire team. Obviously, like even if you live there, I don't realistically. You wouldn't have been able to go through that. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing you can do from this position now, right? Okay, so might as well let it end, whatever. Okay, so again, I'll reiterate, right? You need to be more aware of your cover usage. In particular, you need to be more aware of what angles the enemy team can shoot you from at what times, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a way to expand upon that, but I hope that's clear, and I hope like the examples like demonstrate that, right? This is very important for me. You know, I'm a tank player, so yeah, you just will never be able to push ever if you just don't like be aware of like what your damage sources are in tank, right? On DPS, sometimes if you get good movement, right, and you manage your distance well, you can get away with it, right? But on tank, you're just impossible to miss, especially the tanks I play, right? You're just like impossible to miss, and if you push at the wrong times, it'll just explode. Anyways, point 2, right? Work on your spacing, right? The first point, you had problems in particular with the Orisa, right? You're just getting too close to the Orisa for no reason, getting punished for it every single time. And then on Genji, right? You're almost spacing too far away where you're not consistently being able to do damage and threaten dashes on people, right? For your like, your one shots. And you're also not responding all the time when like people rush you, right? When you like I saw or I explained earlier, I like that you learned from the first engage on you, but it still could have been faster, right? If you see 3 people rotate towards you or start looking at you, just go away, right? Like it worked out so much better for you that fight. I'm not going to go over the details. I hopefully explained them pretty well to begin with, right? But it's just way more valuable to force out cooldowns, give up an angle, recommit with your team, and then just like live than it is to die, right? And thirdly, right, cooldown usage definitely could have used a good bit of work, right? And Sojourn, right, never slide into open space. You'll get killed for it every single time, right? You literally died for it at least twice that first round. Genji, unfortunately, I didn't see like a whole lot of like awful errors in principle, right? But I will say that you should be, I guess, maybe work on your dash accuracy a bit. Unfortunately, like you just didn't put yourself in positions where you could have used it, so it's really hard to see off that gameplay itself. And consider deflecting a little more preemptively just to avoid these big bursts of damage, right? Like if you see like multiple people looking at you, that's a good opportunity. Or if obviously you see cooldowns look going your way, that's another good opportunity, right? Just so you preserve your health and don't make yourself really easy to rush down one shot after the deflect's over. Okay, I hope this helps.